This video is brought to you by Miniature Market. Thousands of board games, miniatures, and paints, discount prices at miniaturemarket.com.
Hello everybody, welcome to Painting 102, the advanced class. Now, we don't call it a master class because I am far from a master, but I'm going to be showing you in this series where we've taken for 2 years Painting 101 and we've shown you so many basic techniques. A lot of you have picked up a brush, but now it's time to kind of advance a little bit, just a little bit. We're not going full out head over heels. We are going to talk about more advanced techniques and how to do them. Now, again, I am not a master at these techniques, but I can show you what they are, and then you can research even further if it's something that interests you. Today, we're going to we're introducing the segment, and the very first thing that we're going to address is a question that I get all the time. Rob, when are you going to show me how to airbrush? Well, I'm going to show you how to airbrush, and I'm going to show you some of the things on how to get an airbrush so you can follow along. Now, the next segment, of course, this is going to be every 2 weeks that we are going to do a 102, and in between we'll do a 101 to keep up with those to make sure that people are up to date. The first thing I want to show off is equipment, so maybe you can follow along and this doesn't become an overwhelming segment. The first thing is my airbrush is a gravity feed dual action airbrush. Now, what the hell does that mean? Well, basically it means it feeds from the top, as you can see. And you can get these at Hobby Lobby with a 40% coupon. This was originally $69, so I ended up getting this for just around 40 bucks at $41 for this particular device. You're also going to need a compressor, okay? And I went and I got myself a compressor. Now, one thing that you're going to notice about airbrushing is that there is some noise involved. Yes, that is the sound that your wife and children are going to hear when you are airbrushing. So you're going to want to be able to airbrush and be able to do all the techniques with all this noise. This might be distracting if you have small children. Another important thing is what an airbrush does. Let's turn that off so we don't lose our minds here. Okay? An airbrush takes paint and thins it out. Now you're taking molecules and atomizing them to such a degree that it is such a fine mist. Mask, ventilation are very, very important, especially if you're going to follow along. Now, in the next segment, the next part of this segment that we're going to do, we're actually going to show you some techniques on how to prime. We're going to show you how to paint with this, because there's different things. But the most important thing that I want to show you right now is safety. Okay? Safety is the most important thing. Now, here I have water. Water is not going to bother you. Okay? But you can get this stuff in your lungs. So I know you're going to want to run out and buy one of these, maybe, if you're, or have one of these. But the most important thing here is safety, not breathing in everything that is going on here, because I'm going to show you. I mean, that's noise. That's number one. But number two is take a look as I open up the throttle here, and hopefully, because this is high definition, you can see how the water is just basically, I mean, look at that. If you're doing that with paint, that's going into the air. Now, you may be concentrating on that miniature, but there's a good chance you're going to be breathing some of that in. So an air mask will help. Now, with a dual action, you have control to either go full throttle or even lessening it up. And that's going to give you more control on what you are spraying. Notice how I'm spraying towards the camera and not getting any on the camera, because I am using it as it should be. And I really love this airbrush. Now, there's so many different types of airbrushes. There's bottom feeding, and maybe we'll show a couple pictures here. There's a bottom feeder, there's triggers, there's the more you pay, the more control you have. I find that the Neo is very, very good, and I really enjoy this one, and you can get it cheap. Now that air compressor I showed you, and I'm going to show you once again, because we're going to unhook this. I got this also at Hobby Lobby, okay? Nice, little, small, and if you do 2 separate purchases, you can use a 40% coupon on this. You can do it at Michael's too if you have one near you. I don't know anything about overseas, how you would handle this, but you can get this little guy here. I believe he was like $100 and you get it for $60. So for under $100 you can get going. Now, we are going to talk next week about cleaning your airbrush, putting paint in your airbrush, what type of paint to use for your airbrush. So this is going to be about 3 segments long, but we're going to cover this little guy and all the things you can do with it. And you can actually save some money in the long run from priming and having to buy spray cans and things like that by just going out and priming with your airbrush. But the most important thing is care for your airbrush. Make sure you tune in next week when we talk about how to clean your airbrush. There's a lot to cover, and we're going to have a good time doing it here on Painting 102 with your old pal Rob. Until next time, I'm Rob Oren, and thanks so much for being a part of all our segments. We'll see you.